Okay, let's just dive right in. We're going to talk about something that I think so many of us feel but have a really hard time putting into words. It's that constant struggle to feel joy, to get motivated, to find the color in a world that can sometimes feel, well, a little gray.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. Does your day-to-day life ever just feel like you're going through the motions? You're doing all the things, you're checking the boxes, maybe you're even achieving stuff, but that feeling of pleasure, that vibrancy, it's just not there. It's kind of like you're eating food that has absolutely no flavor.
And what makes it so maddening is that we all see these two types of people out in the world, right? On one side, you've got the effortless achiever. These are the people who work hard, they've got great relationships, they pick up new hobbies, and they seem to genuinely enjoy the grind. But then there's the constant struggler, where every single day feels like this massive uphill battle just to do the basics. And the difference between them? It's not about willpower. It's something way, way deeper.
So that feeling of being a constant struggler, of living in that grayscale world, that whole experience actually has a name. It's what happens when we find ourselves trapped in a world without pleasure.
Now this isn't your typical case of the blues that comes and goes. This is desthymia. For people going through this, depression isn't something that just happens to them. It's more like a constant, characteristic part of their life. It becomes this persistent state of being where all the usual advice, just cheer up, it just doesn't work.
And right at the very heart of desthymia is this one core symptom, anhedonia. It's the inability to get any pleasure from things that you know you used to love. This is the thing that really drains the color from life. It leads to this flattening of emotions and just a total loss of motivation. Because, let's be honest, if nothing feels good, why would you be motivated to do anything at all?
So what on earth is happening inside the mind to cause this? Well, to understand it, we've got to look at our first major clue. And it comes from this really fascinating psychological concept, the idea of the dominant other.
Okay, so what's so interesting about this is how it explains that dependency. For people with desthymia, their sense of self-esteem, their sense of gratification, it doesn't come from inside. It's been completely outsourced to some external person. It could be a parent, a boss, a partner. Their ability to feel good about themselves is totally reliant on this other person, basically giving them permission to feel that pleasure.
And this is the core shift, right here. For most of us, self-worth is a mix. You get some validation from your parents saying they're proud, for sure. But you also get that internal pat on the back when you build something cool or hit a personal goal. For someone stuck in this pattern, that internal source is just gone. It's all external, 100%.
And this brings us right back to that common frustration. Someone tells you to go for a run or start journaling or climb a mountain. And you do it, but why doesn't it work? Why does it just feel hollow?
Well, the answer is actually simple, but it's profound. You can do the activity, but you're being denied that crucial second half of the reward, that internal sense of, I did this. You can be standing on top of the mountain, but that feeling of pride of, wow, I accomplished this, it's just absent. You're only getting half the pleasure you're supposed to get.
Okay, so that's the psychological framework. But what's truly mind-blowing is how modern neuroscience is starting to prove all of this out. We're literally discovering the brain's actual formula for joy.
So this is the crucial point. It's a real game changer. We think the pleasure is in the pizza, or it's in the video game, or it's in the promotion, but it's not. There is no dopamine in those things. The dopamine, that chemical of reward and motivation, that's all generated inside your brain. The amount of joy you get is determined by your brain's own internal math, not by the activity itself.
And here it is. This is the simple yet totally revolutionary formula that modern cognitive science is showing our brain uses. The amount of pleasure you feel from doing something is equal to the amount of progress you made divided by the total number of things you currently want or feel like you need to achieve.
Now, that formula might sound a little bit abstract, but I promise, you experience the logic behind it every single day. And it becomes super clear when we look at what happens when our goals start to compete with each other.
Just think about it for a second. Why does your favorite burger taste so much better right after you've gotten a promotion? The burger itself hasn't changed. What's changed is your brain's math. Because you've made huge progress on your career goal, the progress you make on your self-care goal by eating that burger feels way more rewarding. It's amplified.
This chart just lays it out perfectly. You have two people doing the exact same self-care activity, but the person who feels secure and successful in their career gets a much bigger hit of joy. Their total wants denominator in that pleasure formula is smaller, so the pleasure from that one single activity is much, much higher.
This whole phenomenon has a name. It's called multidimensional goal stress.
When your brain is juggling a dozen different things you feel like you have to do, fix your career, get in shape, find a partner, clean the house, your total wants denominator becomes massive. So when you make one small step of progress, like going to the gym once, it's just one tiny piece of a giant puzzle. Your brain looks at that and gives you a proportionally tiny reward.
So, if that's the problem, how in the world do we fix it? How can we actually use this knowledge to change our experience of life? Well, this is where we learn how to rewire our own reward system.
We basically have two choices. There's the hard way, which is to try and make more progress, to just hustle and grind and burn ourselves out trying to satisfy that massive list of wants. But then there's the smart way, and that's to stop focusing on the top of the equation and instead attack the denominator. You shrink the list of wants.
And the process is actually pretty simple, but it is so powerful. First, you identify all of your wants. Get them all out. Second, you shrink that list down to one single core focus. Third, when all those other ambitions pop into your head, you just acknowledge them and then gently set them aside for now. This really focuses your brain. And fourth, you just let the amplified rewards from that one focus build natural, sustainable motivation on its own.
And what is so amazing about this is that it's not some new age productivity hack. This is ancient wisdom that's now being confirmed by modern neuroscience. Gautama Buddha figured this out thousands of years ago. The secret to happiness isn't about getting more, it's about wanting less.
And let's be super clear about something. This is not about giving up on your dreams. It's actually the opposite. By shrinking your focus, you make progress feel good again. That pleasure creates a craving, which reinforces the behavior. And that positive feedback loop is what builds powerful, natural ambition, far more effectively than stressing yourself out over 100 goals at once.
So I'll leave you with this question. Forget about everything you think you should be doing for a minute. What is the one thing, the single goal that you can choose to focus on starting right now to shrink your denominator and start letting the joy back in?